All right. Hello, everyone. Can anyone out there hear me or see me? If you would just let me know in the sidebar. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Jake, thank you. She joined us, raised set, and here we are. So I'll keep this intro very brief and just hand it over to Caverly. But thank you, Jake. Donate if you can. That is who we are supporting in the background. Thank you, Sangha Live. I just have one announcement before I hand it over to Caverly, which is she's offering, in addition to the daily meditation series, on Sunday, she's offering another Sangha Live session. And the theme is how to find equanimity amidst upheaval. So I'll put in a link for that in the sidebar. I'm also going to drop in a link for her Instagram because she's part of the Being and Doing Summit coming up, and there's information on that there. So that's all. I'm going to turn it over to her so we can get started with today's session. Thank you, Jake, and to all of the beautiful community. Thank you for your patience, your humor. All right. Hi, Caverly.
Hey, thank you. Yes, and Jake just pointed out if you have two browser windows open, that might contribute to an echo. So go ahead and check to be sure you have only one open. Friends, thank you for your patience. And yes, as we were all just chatting about, or some of us were just chatting about, what an opportunity to practice resting in I don't know mind, rather than trying to control things we can't control. So thank you for your patience. I want to underline something Janice just said, which is without our support, Jake doesn't have a job. And Jake is one of the most tireless servants for the Dharma that I know. And so I just want to give a big plug that Jake and many others who work for Sangha Live, please do consider supporting this platform if you're able. And many of you have been regularly, and I want to thank you for that. With that, let's move into our meditation for the morning. Thank you again so much for being here, for your presence. Thanks for providing a link, Janice, to the Sunday session through Sangha Live. And I just want to name that we will be continuing these through COVID, through this period of time that we're in, of adapted schedules, working from home. Thank you for making it possible. Friends, I brought a short reading today for the beginning of our meditation. It's from the Radiance Sutras, Lauren Roche's translation. Attend to the skin as a subtle boundary containing vastness. Enter that pulsing immensity. Discover that you are not separate from anything there. There is no inside. There is no outside. There is no other. No object to meditate upon that is not you. Attend to the skin as a subtle boundary containing vastness. Enter that pulsing immensity. Discover that you are not separate from anything there. There is no inside, there is no outside, there is no other, no object to meditate upon that is not you. So welcome all of it unconditionally. There is no separate thought that you need to be in relationship with, get rid of, try to change, transcend. There's no separate emotion passing through this open, vast field of awareness that you need to tinker with, grab onto, adjust in any way. All of these thoughts and emotions known by you. all of these thoughts and emotions arising in you, this vastness, this immensity. These thoughts and emotions, like various waves in the same vast, pulsing, alive ocean. Simply notice any tendency to grab onto one particular wave, to identify with one particular thought or belief or story or emotion. Harsh discipline is not required. You don't need to get rid of that experience. Simply remember that you are the ocean. If there's a stormy landscape today, perhaps strong emotions, rather than believing I am this tornado, this hurricane, remember I am the sky. This storm does not disturb the peace of me, the equanimity of me, the sky. Where else could the storm live but the sky? For the purposes of this metaphor, this self-aware sky. Any temptation to adjust or change or fix the sky comes from the distortion that we are outside the sky. The temptation to adjust a storm or weather pattern, I should say, comes from the notion that we are outside the sky. Excuse me. The sky itself can't be fiddled with. It's what's unchanging. So wholeheartedly embrace what is, not because you are a separate self that is trying to do so, but because it is your true nature to do so. No inside. No outside. Just yourself. Your whole, undivided, indivisible, untarnished, infinite, unborn and undying self. Friends, again, welcome. Thank you for your presence. At the beginning of this call, I made a big plug to donate if you can. So this is just my commitment expressing itself to remind you of that post the meditation. Green button below. Thank you. I'd love to open it up now. If you can, come on screen. As they say from the woods of where I'm from, good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. May you try to get on screen. I'd love it. I'd love to see you if you want to give it a shot. Spencer, I've been experiencing extreme pain in both knees as a result of treatment I had on them yesterday. The result of these treatments is often some pain for a day or two. So today's meditation was wonderful. I was able to experience the pain as severe storms. When I allowed my awareness to move to the sky, the pain was gone. Then back to the storm and there was pain, but the pain was totally okay. Spencer, I really appreciate, I'm willing to come on screen, but doubtful. We could try it. Janice, I'll leave that to you if you want to try it. But Spencer, I do appreciate your articulation of this, because for all of us here today, we could plug in repetitive thoughts, beliefs, pain, strong emotions. The kind of relationship that you're describing, that you felt a shift around, is the perspective shift of remembering who we are in relationship to what is. In fact, in remembering that there isn't a relationship from that subject-object habitual way of perceiving. No inside, no outside. All you. So therefore, nothing to resist, nothing to try to transcend. And that does change our relationship. Again, language is tricky, so I'm using the word relationship, but reflect upon Rupert Spira's offering that I think it's something to the effect of love is the end of relationship. Falling in love is the end of relationship, because there is no longer the I and the you in the same way that we're habituated to think about it. So I use the language of relationship, but in truth, we're speaking about something that doesn't have that habitual split of I and you. Pain is here, and I'm in relationship with pain, trying to fix it, change it, do something with it, transcend it. So thank you, Spencer, for writing in. And thank you, Karen. Kiki, thank you for your powerful guided imagery during your meditations in this uncertain time. I recall you mentioned that you have been using a lot of visualizations during these meditations. Can you briefly explain why it's important during this time? You mentioned an apology if I've explained this, but because of work hours, you can't always join live sessions. No worries. You appreciate the imageries and recall them often, like the wheel, the lighthouse, clenching and unclenching hands. Oh, great. Wonderful. I'm so glad, Kiki. I would be happy to say a little bit more. It is true that in these morning calls, and because of the time we're in, the way that I have been guiding meditations has shifted, and it's been a surprise to me. What is shifting is that I'm finding that in these times, more folks are eager to go directly to the experience of knowing their true nature. When the stakes are less high. When I say stakes are high, I mean that the suffering is great. When it's as Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams will sometimes talk about, the kinder, gentler suffering, the suffering that's not as intense. When that suffering is at play, I find that folks are quite content to practice with training the attention to be in the present moment, approaching practice in a more progressive path way. Let's take this step and then this step and then this step. I trained in a monastery where there was a lot of emphasis on progressive path tools, and there's definitely nothing bad or wrong with that. There's a hunger now, though, that I'm touching in with as I gather with folks to share practice, and that touching, and what I'm touching is this shared desire to go straight to this recognition of who we are, and then to potentially focus on some of these progressive path tools from that recognition. It's a slightly different order of things. So for example, one meditation that I might have offered in a different moment could be all around focusing on the breath. No poetic offerings about sort of guiding us to an experience of who we are. Just the focus on a simple tool. When the attention wanders off, notice where it's gone, come back to the breath, and just prompts that bring us back to the purity of practicing that tool again and again. I want to underline, that is more than valid. It's an important practice, and knowing how to steady the mind in that way. But that's not what I felt called to do in these times, in this context of COVID, in this context of, again, just meeting people where they are. So Kiki, thank you for that question. I hope that speaks to it. Yes, Alice, would you tell us the title and source of the reading you shared at the beginning? You really connected with it. I connect with this book deeply. So yes, it's the Radiance Sutras by Lauren Roche. Lauren Roche is the translator, not the original author. 112 Gateways to the Yoga of Wonder and Delight. So I can't recommend it highly enough. Please do check it out. Sandy, how can I be more peaceful after a lifetime of being at war with some of the lesser conditions I was born into? I tend to lean towards remembering and obsessing on the lesser. Sandy, I wonder, do you have the capacity to come on screen? I feel I've really appreciated that you've written in some questions, and I would love to have an exchange where I can feel us in, here's the word again, in relationship with each other, so that I can engage with you rather than just taking a bit more of a blind stab at what might be underneath your question. So maybe you could just let us know in the sidebar whether you can come on screen, and a simple no is perfectly fine if you can't. Yeah. Maria, this reminds me of the Four Noble Truths, where the path comes after the end of suffering. Yes, thank you. Alice, yeah, thank you. All right, Sandy, I haven't gotten word from you, so I'll trust that coming on screen isn't an option. Sandy, what I would invite you to attend to is what part of Sandy, what aspect of the personality is at war? Okay, Sandy, not able to come on now due to sharing common space. No worries. Thank you. Another time. So I'm going to do my best, given that we can't be in an actual exchange. By actual, I just mean that it's, again, rich for me to feel your responses and then meet your response. So I'm stabbing in the dark here, but let me know if this speaks to you. Look to see what aspect of the personality perceives herself or himself or themselves to be at war. Who's defining lesser conditions? I'm not suggesting that these experiences aren't true or valid. I'm suggesting to pay attention to who holds that view. When you say, I tend to lean towards remembering and obsessing on the lesser, remember yourself as the sky and ask who is remembering and obsessing. What part of the personality structure? So I would suggest, for example, that it's worth exploring, like, how old is that part of me? The one that always feels like she's at war, the one that sees these conditions as lesser, the one who's always underneath, trying to get on top, the one who's obsessing. Attend to who that is. What does that person need? What does that person have to say about their life experience? Much like the storm in the sky, you don't need to get rid of that person. The sky is undisturbed by the presence of this part of Sandy that's always at war. Remember yourself as that which is inherently peaceful. And ask, what's it like to be in relationship with this part of you who suffers? Sandy, I hope that spoke to you. Again, I think a theme for today is this notion of relationship without relationship. Relationship beyond subject-object relationship. No inside, no outside. What is the relationship of non-relating because we're not separate, because there aren't two? Sandy, very associated with my parents' issues. They were quite troubled. Thank you for naming that. Those aren't your issues. Those issues belong to these storms, these weather patterns. So explore, what is my relationship to those weather patterns? Thank you, Sandy. Mary Jane, hello. I agree that in these times, many are practicing as if their hair were on fire. I'm so grateful for the manner you are teaching. The direct experience is so meaningful, a gateway for me, because in conceptual teachings, words always get in the way, because each of your words comes so full of each person's conditioned meanings. Descriptions of the process are just so often misunderstood. Yes, just being beyond concepts. Yeah. Thank you for writing that in. What's beyond concepts for us to remember, experience, and know? Concepts can be helpful. But let's not confuse the concepts with truth itself. We all long to belong, for example. There are many concepts and theories about what it means to belong. They might be useful, helpful. We can also go straight to the recognition that we inherently belong. No inside, no outside. No I in relationship with you, I in relationship with this or that. Just being, just belonging. Thank you, friends. Hope to see you tomorrow.